Hey everybody, welcome to today's masterclass on body image neutrality and our sexuality. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. It's something that I truly wish everybody had access to. So welcome, I'm so happy that you're here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kiki Marie. I am a sexologist. I am also the founder of the Yonilicious Academy of Sexual Health, where I teach other people to become somatic sex coaches and therapeutic yoni massage practitioners. I have been working with women and vulva havers and couples all over the world for over a decade on their sexuality, on connecting them back to their body, to their voice, to their desire, and helping them to step away from performing and spectatoring in their sexuality and truly embodying and feeling their pleasure. And body image neutrality is a huge key in this, as body image negativity has such a negative impact on overall sexual satisfaction for people. And when we start to cultivate a healthier body image, whether it's through body image positivity or body image neutrality, which we'll get into in a moment, the research shows that there is incredible improvement in sexual satisfaction. And particularly with female-bodied people, or people assigned female at birth, where there is such a distortion of our body image, there is such an objectification, and there is constant messaging of what we should look like and how we should be perceived in our sensuality and our sexuality. It is a constant fight and struggle. And so we really need tools to be able to use to combat this messaging that we're getting through our societal conditioning. And so it is such a pleasure to be able to speak into this and to be able to share actionable tools that can really help with body image. And this can be to do with the image of our body image regarding our genitalia. It can be to do with our overall body image, in whatever way that voice inside ourselves is talking to ourselves and spectating ourselves versus being in our body and feeling ourselves and feeling our pleasure and accepting who and how we are and how we're perceived. It's an incredibly powerful and revolutionary step to take in reclaiming ourselves as a sexual subject versus a sexual object. So let's get into it. Why body image neutrality? Body image neutrality is essentially the step between negative body image, self-hate talk, self-judgment, self-criticism, obsessing over ourself and how we look, to the space between that and loving ourselves, being obsessed with how amazing we look and thinking that we're just the most gorgeous being in the world 24/7. You know, there's a huge space in between, and this body image 24/7 positivity may never happen, and we need to have something in between, and that's where body image neutrality really fills that gap. It's the missing bridge in between. And while it's been incredible to see the body positivity movement and to be a part of it myself, this piece definitely feels incredibly important. And not only that, there's a lot of research behind it. It's rooted in science, and it really helps us to have tangible tools in moments where we're struggling. As I was sort of alluding to, research really shows that when we stop spectatoring in our sexuality, worrying about our stomach rolls, worrying about stretch marks, worrying about how our body is shaped mid-thrust, when we stop doing that and spectatoring, our cortisol lowers, which we know to be a huge factor in opening us up to more desire and arousal and pleasure in sex and a greater access to our orgasmic potential. So when we're getting out of here and into our body, when we're engaging in our parasympathetic nervous system, which is a huge part of our access to arousal, we're able to have a way more fulfilling sexual experience. Research also shows that between couples that there is a higher sense of sexual satisfaction and adventure and play, because instead of like worrying about how we look while we're doing a certain activity or position, we're worrying about how it feels, and we're thinking about how it feels, and we're creating more experiences outside of the cookie cutter of what is perceived as sexy that we see in porn, like certain body shapes, certain sounds, certain moans, because there's a sense of safety there. The shame is gone. As I said, spectatoring has diminished, and instead there's just a raw expression of sexuality and pleasure. And when we have that space, then there's so many more access points to what is possible in our sexuality and in our pleasure. So today we're going to be going into the science behind our self-objectification, like what is happening to us when we are constantly obsessing and focusing on how we look. We're going to go into different ways to cultivate a deeper sense of body image neutrality. I've got some really cool embodiment practices for you to do along with me. You can also pause this recording whenever you feel either triggered, or you need a bit of space to process, or need a little bit longer to do the exercises. I'm going to go along with you and do some of the exercises with you. I also have a worksheet for you to fill out, and that's something that you can do at different stages in your journey of body image neutrality. I have some resources for you as well to continue this practice, because it's not going to just end here. I wish I had the silver bullet, the magic pill to just make your body image negativity go away, but I don't. I'm going to give you everything I can, but I really urge you to continue this practice and find other people and other resources, and really like get this knowing in your body, deep in your body, and remembering and and peeling back the veil of the conditioning of all of the body image talk about you and your appearance, and the messaging and the negativity that we have to swim through daily, that we're constantly exposed to. You know, I really want you to balance that out. And so you can also come back to this recording whenever you like. That's essentially it. I'll try and make it as easy to digest as possible. I don't want to lose you, so maybe play me on fast forward if you can, in certain places, and skip to parts that maybe work better for you. But yeah, this is something that I think we all can really benefit from, even if it's not to do with our sexuality, but just in general in our mental health, to cultivate a greater sense of essentially self-acceptance. One of the big keys of body image neutrality is just accepting ourselves as our body, as we are, and that being perfectly okay. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to start with a little embodiment practice to begin this experience and exposure to body image neutrality. So what we're going to do is we're going to close down our eyes, and we're going to list out loud 5 things that your body has done for you today. For example, your body may have walked you to the toilet. It may have carried your groceries. It may have driven your car and breathed for you without you even knowing it. And the key thing in this is that what we're doing is we're redirecting our thoughts from what our body looks like to what our body can do. And this is already cultivating a sense of acceptance, but also gratitude and satisfaction with the fact that your body is able to do this, reducing your body from being an object to a subject. And this is going to be an overarching theme in general when we're creating body image neutrality. We're going from seeing it as this object that's supposed to look perfect and be perfect to a subject that has incredible potential, that already does incredible things for us. And this rewriting and rewiring is going to be one of the best things that you can do. All right, so let's close down our eyes. Maybe place a hand on your heart, a hand on your heart, hand on your lower belly, and take a couple of breaths here. Just in your own time. Bringing your awareness now into the movement of your body as you breathe, perhaps the pressure of your hands on your body, the warmth, the touch, the sensation of the feeling of your clothes or your skin under your hands. And now listing out loud 5 things that your body allowed you to do today. And as you list them, potentially bringing your hand to that part of your body, if that's accessible for you. If not, just imagining that part of your body, bringing your awareness there. Okay, so for me, my legs right now are crossed, allowing me to sit down in this particular comfortable position. My hands are allowing me to feel my body. My eyes have been allowing me to create this session. My throat has been allowing me to speak. All of the muscles working so perfectly for me to speak to you. And my head, as someone who suffers with chronic migraine, has been relatively symptom-free, allowing me to show up today. Just continuing this practice as long as you need to truly feel that connection and sense of gratitude, satisfaction with your body. Wow, amazing. My body is doing this for me. All right. So whenever you're ready to come back to this, I want to just speak a little bit more into our sexual satisfaction and how our body image negativity and obsessing over and spectating ourselves can really severely impact our sexual satisfaction. When people are monitoring their body and how it looks during sex, aka spectating, they're diverting their attentional resources, their ability to notice sensation and therefore feel sensation to a greater capacity, away from their erotic cues. So rather than feeling the pulse of their clit as it is expanding, or the warmth tingling in their pussy, and that becoming a self sort of perpetuating experience of arousal and turn on, rather than hearing the subtle grunt or moan of their partner and therefore becoming more aroused and turned on. Attention is instead focusing on this surveillance of their body as this object that should be looking a certain way. And the research shows that this body surveillance essentially predicts a reduced arousal. So the arousal response that is happening is going to be significantly impacted. Lubrication, their engorgement, their erection quality also for men and penis havers, and their orgasm consistency as well is incredibly impacted negatively when their focus and attention has been diverted to other things that aren't to do with what the activity is in the present moment. Obviously, there is a space for visual cues of arousal and excitation. However, the fact of the matter is, when we see someone in their pleasure, that is arousing, that is exciting. And so when someone is inhibiting that through their self-monitoring process, they're also inhibiting the visual stimulation of seeing somebody in their pleasure. This aspect that we're talking about here is our cognition, distraction, and self-objectification inhibiting our sexual satisfaction. When it comes to combating this, when ways in which we can essentially hack ourselves through science is to use mindfulness or like other grounding techniques. Breathing is another really great one. Just bringing our awareness into our breath, slowing down our breath, slowing down our out breath, and then redirecting our attention from how we look or how we sound to sensation is such an incredible tool. And we can start doing this on our own as well. It can be like overstimulating to do, to try and repattern when somebody is around us. So there are many benefits of self-pleasuring, exploring our body and our sensations in a non-goal oriented way, solo. But one of the really cool things is that we can also do our repatterning solo in our pleasure and in our self body image experience as well. So it might be that when you're self-pleasuring, really focusing on the subtle sensations, focusing on the stronger sensations, focusing on your breath, focusing on how your body feels against the bed, or you're bringing touch, the pre-sensate exercises that we do in contemporary sex therapy, where maybe you're having a shower and you really feel the sensation on your skin and the sensation of the soap as you wash yourself and moisturize, and doing some mirror work in that as well, which we will get into. All of these exercises is essentially using mindfulness to overcome the spectatoring and the constant tracking of and surveying ourselves as an object, and stepping into ourselves as a subject is one of the best things that we can do. And we can start doing that on our own, so that becomes more and more ingrained in our nervous system, more and more ingrained in our habit making when we're bringing ourselves pleasure or experiencing pleasure. And then we start partnering bring that into our partnered experiences. And you can also bring this up with your partner and say, hey, I want to explore a really soft, safe space together in our shared pleasure, where I'm trying to focus more on how I'm feeling and sensations and my breath, versus how I look. I really want to focus on that. Can you help me? And actually bringing in body image neutrality with your partner can be an incredible way to drive this home in the way we talk about ourselves in front of our partner, the way we talk about our partner as well. A big piece of body image neutrality is appreciating what our body does and not how it looks. And so we can start bringing that language in as well. Because our looks are going to change. And if we're in a long-term relationship, we're not going to be who we are now in 20, 30, 40 years. And so we start bringing in that appreciation for each other's bodies for other reasons. It can start to shift that feeling that we need to look a certain way to be loved. So essentially, this aspect that we're talking about here is our self-esteem, where we are giving ourselves compliments, giving each other compliments about our capacity, our body's capacity, what it allows us to do. We are boosting our self-esteem, not in the way that we've been conditioned to think we should be doing it, but it is an undercurrent of a self-esteem boost. I really encourage those affirmations and celebrations of what the body does versus how it looks. Like, I love that my hips allow me to move and grind on my partner's cock. Yum. That's so delicious. And that's my sexual self-esteem right there. There's a compliment to myself. Has nothing to do with how I look. And another part of this, another part of the low self-esteem, is the anxiety that comes from this experience of feeling body image dissatisfaction and negativity. When we have this sense of dissatisfaction with ourselves, it heightens our state of anxiety, which increases our sympathetic nervous system, and this is inhibiting us from all of the benefits of arousal, and which is our gateway into our sex and desire for sex and satisfaction with sex. You know, it inhibits our genital blood flow when we are anxious, when performance anxiety that leads to erectile disappointment is due to anxiety, which is due to increase in cortisol and activation of the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is important when we orgasm. It's a part of our orgasm, but arousal is very much a parasympathetic nervous system state. So when we've got anxiety about how we look and we're thinking about how we look, we're inhibiting and interfering with our arousal response. Other things that we can do is to hack this, is to hack our nervous system. We know that taking paced breaths, conscious breaths, and slower out breaths helps to engage the parasympathetic nervous system. There are ways that we can sort of step around our tendencies and habits in our sex to hack our system. And we can do this alone. We don't have to start doing this with our partner. With our self-pleasure, it can become more of a habit to start taking slower out breaths, to activate calmness in our arousal. And I think what's also important is sometimes we put pressure on ourselves to like build arousal, peak, and then come on down again. However, what can happen is it can be a dance and a journey. If we are really struggling with body image and it's really activating anxiety, particularly for people who experience erectile disappointment, because there's such a visual cue of the changes in the state of the nervous system. For example, if somebody starts to lose their erection, that activates the sympathetic nervous system, and then it perpetuates the cycle. And however, if we see that an erection is starting to go down, but we know that it can come back on up again without that pressure, and we just create space for these curves and peaks and ebbs and flows in our arousal to happen, then that reduces the anxiety and stops that sort of like self-perpetuating issue in our pleasure and sexuality. And so yeah, these are ways that we can sort of hack into our nervous system and anxiety that is caused from our body image, in whatever capacity, in whatever way that shows up for us, and allows space to come back. You know, the anxiety might come in, inhibit our arousal, but then we know that we can come back from that through the breathing exercises, through mindfulness, through activating our vagus nerve. Maybe we start giving ourselves a little bit of a massage along here. Taking some sighs and some out breaths and longer out breaths, and really allowing ourselves to slow down and calm ourselves. Yeah, the next thing that I sort of wanted to speak into that's a really nice way to hack into this piece is to communicate what our boundaries are in our sex and pleasure, and what we feel comfortable in and what is supportive to us. So again, one of the issues I think with the body image positivity movement, one of the drawbacks, it's not an issue, just a little drawback or a thing that it's lacking, is like, you should love yourself 24/7 in every position, in every single way, versus just accepting yourself in that way, but maybe having preferences for other ways, and that's okay. So this isn't about like, you should love yourself naked, you should feel 100% comfortable all the time and feel okay with every single sexual position. There are some positions that you feel more comfortable in. If there are certain lightings that you feel more comfortable in, if there's certain clothing you feel more comfortable in, I urge you to embrace those things and not see it as a setback, but see it as an access point into your self-acceptance, into your neutrality, into your satisfaction with yourself. If you feel more comfortable wearing a sexy dressing gown or having low lighting, and you're feeling satisfaction with yourself, you're going to feel more satisfaction with your sexuality, with your pleasure, in each moment. You're not going to be doing the self-surveying. You're not going to be doing the continuously obsessing over how you look or worrying about, and that anxiety is going to relax because you feel more comfortable. So it's totally fine for you to implement those things, and also to communicate those things with your partner, letting your partner know, hey, I don't really feel comfortable making love in this position. Hey, I don't really feel comfortable being completely naked. Let's try intimacy this way. Let's explore this position instead. I really want to be able to fully let go and relax and surrender. And that's okay. Like, I really want to give you permission to feel like you can do that, and like it's not a failure. Yeah, that's a big piece there. Using the tools for you to feel satisfied with your body, to feel satisfied with where you're at. And this is a big piece in the body image neutrality or positivity movement in general. Like, we really recommend that you buy clothes that fit you. Follow people on Instagram that have the same body shape as you. Follow dancers or people who inspire you in some way that have the same body shape as you. Lingerie models, bikini models, clothes models, people that can show you other versions of yourself. And I cannot recommend enough to get into spaces, if you find it to be comfortable for you and affirming for you, spaces of other nude people, other nude female body people, or AFAB people. For most of those of you who are watching are probably female body, but anyway, people of the same sex as you, or presentation as you, because it is just so beautiful. And this is the exposure that we would have had pre-social media, or when we were living in a more tribal community. We would have had access to so many different body types, and body types that look like us, and body types that look very different to us and very different to what has been positioned as the perfect, the norm, the best. So getting into other spaces for me is like, my dysmorphia just fucking disappears. I'm just like, oh right, that's right, like there are just all sorts of different bodies, like, and they're all perfect as they are. Yeah, like, so going to Japanese saunas or Korean saunas and baths, onsens, I can't remember the word for them now, like the hot springs and places like that where everybody's just naked and you're like, oh right, it's so wonderful. Or going to nude yoga and seeing other bodies in different positions and seeing, oh wow, okay, like I'm fucking normal and perfect, like I'm beautiful. It's such an incredible way, and sort of going back to the social media piece, following people that getting exposure to people of different shapes and sizes doing different things with their bodies, it's giving us that same reality check that, yeah, the model in whatever magazine or on the runway or selling that car or selling that perfume is just like one version of a human. So yeah, really exposing ourselves to different people and spaces is incredibly helpful. I'm going to sort of go back into the partner piece that I touched on, with like using language that's affirming of one another, that you find in each other to be attractive and something that you appreciate about one another. Like bringing in things like, I love your laughter, I love your voice, I love how generous you are. These things are so sexy to me, they're so attractive to me. Talking about non-appearance based qualities that you find attractive in your partner. And this can be incredibly beneficial. Like my partner and I do it all the time. Every now and then we'll let a body image one slip, but we're balancing it out by using things like compliments that focus on our connection versus looks. If you feel like your partner doesn't actually find you attractive because, I don't know, you're sick, and you're maybe not looking the way that you normally look, and so you're like, oh, my partner just must think I look like shit today, or whatever it is, whatever that story is you're telling yourself, but you're getting compliments from them saying like, I think it's so sexy that you just like took the day off because you're sick and you're looking after yourself. That's so attractive. That's a quality that you can resonate with and be like, oh yeah, like that's actually genuine. If you don't perceive your partner's attraction as genuine, that's going to like correlate with a lower sense of self-worth or satisfaction with your body image, essentially. So yeah, this is a really beautiful little tip to use, which will increase sexual satisfaction. The last thing that I kind of want to nerd out on scientifically is the fact that there are hormonal and neurochemical loops that happen when we are allowing ourselves to enjoy our sexual activities. So when we are experiencing the releases of oxytocin, dopamine, that are part of our desire and motivation behind sex, it is really important that we are allowing the space for that. So our shame around body image or negative body talk and beliefs inhibits our experience of the pleasure that we get from sex. And therefore it's like it's feeding into the loop of like our body isn't good. Our body it's disappointing for us. Like we're not satisfied with what our body did. It's like, cool, we had sex and I just stressed out the whole time. Like I can't even enjoy sex. However, if we have a sexual experience where we're feeling the oxytocin, we're feeling the dopamine, those feelings are going to make us feel more appreciation for our body. Wow, like my body is so amazing. It can feel dopamine, it can feel oxytocin, it can feel bliss and high. And I really appreciate that about my body. So we're really shooting ourselves in the foot if like we don't even give ourselves the chance to experience the reason why we're having sex in the first place. That will give us more appreciation for our body over time. So it's like there's a cycle that happens, like perpetuating the belief and experiences negatively and positively. Negatively, if we feel shame, we don't allow ourselves to feel pleasure. We're in our sympathetic nervous system, so we don't even get to experience what sex can bring us, and then we just feel shit about our body and our experience, and we have low self-image, self-worth, self-appreciation. Whereas if we just let ourselves go, experience pleasure, experience the benefits of sex, and then we're like, oh wow, like my body, I appreciate it. It keeps going. And these small wins, it's like the neutrality comes, the appreciation comes, there's the reward of the hormones, and we just feel better overall about our feeling, and our body, feelings towards our body improve. So there's a loop that we can jump on. Which one do we want to jump on? That'll wrap up the science behind why it is so important for us to cultivate a healthier sense of self regarding our body image. Now I want to talk about ways that we can do that with body image neutrality and give you some actionable tools as well. All right, the first tool that I want to share to assist you in your body neutrality journey is essentially a tool to be able to combat those thoughts that your mind is telling you, it is regurgitating from social media, from society in general, is to have a response ready to go when those thoughts come in. For example, I look like shit today, or oh, like my tummy looks this way, or I wish I had this, or I can't believe I look like that, or is that really that, like that? All of those like thoughts, as soon as you notice it, it might not be straight away. It might be a really loud voice, particularly when you're premenstrual or going through certain experiences. As soon as you notice it, have a sentence that works for you to say back to yourself. Some examples are, actually, I look totally okay right now. I am actually fine. Stop it. My body looks perfectly okay right now. I don't need to look perfect in every capacity. I don't need to look perfect to be loved. I don't need to look perfect at every angle. Even if I'm looking like this, I'm still beautiful. I'm still lovable. I'm still respectable. I'm still worthy of appreciation. I'm still worthy of respect. I actually love who I am. I actually love my body. I'm actually really grateful that I look like this. I'm actually really grateful that my body can do this. I'm actually really grateful that I'm able to even look at myself today. I'm really grateful that I have this body, you know, like just find something to anchor you back in. Another thing you can do is you can like imagine you're changing the radio station from one frequency to another frequency and just be like, oh, actually, I don't want to listen to that radio station. I'm going to pop it on this radio station where I'm nice to myself and I'm not putting myself down. That's the radio station I'm choosing for today. And it might accidentally bump back, you know, you drive out of the like one region and into another and it changes to another radio station or it goes offline. You might need to just bring it on back multiple times. If this feels like almost impossible for you to say any of these, a really nice trick is to pop I am willing to in front of whatever it is you're saying. I'm willing to feel grateful for my body today. I'm willing to try and feel like it's okay that I don't look perfect at every angle. I'm willing to accept my body as it is. And, you know, I really, you know, what works for me isn't going to work for you, isn't going to work for the next person. So I really encourage you to like actually sit with this and feel into what will work for you in those moments. And you might need a few different things to reach for. So this is something really, really important, and it's going to be an important part of you reprogramming your inner thoughts. The next thing that I want to sort of, it's related to that, the next tip and trick I want you to do is to, when you do look in the mirror and you have those thoughts or whatever, negative thoughts, I really want you to either think about a time recently where you looked in the mirror and you're like, oh, I look quite beautiful today. And remember that that is you. And that when you're looking in different cameras with different angles and different lighting and different mirrors that are like leaning differently, shaped differently, made differently, you're going to be distorted. And your self-image is also going to be distorted. And that's a part of our body image dysmorphia. You might 2 days ago have felt like you were happy with the size of your body or the shape of your body. And then you might have eaten a bunch of pasta and pizza and chips and chocolate. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm looking really fat. And that all that's changed is your perception of yourself. And yeah, I think body image dysmorphia is really, the conversation around it has been really like reserved for people with like more severe eating disorders or disordered eating, or yeah, like psychological issues. But it is something that we are dealing with in a huge way as a society, that is very much focusing on how we look, and that sort of changes from day to day, but also changes from how we're perceiving ourselves through different means. And so something that you can do when you're looking at yourself and you're seeing yourself and being like, like I'm not looking like this, or I look like that, or whatever negative talk you've got going on, to be like, oh, but wait, I'm not actually seeing myself clearly. How about I just let that go and stop having that sort of thought loop and obsessing over that, because it's not even real. Like I am just seeing myself unclearly. And I think that really helps to like poke holes into the delusion of our self-perception, our negative self-perception. So yeah, that's a really big piece. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I know I sort of already spoke to it about like following certain accounts where people on social media where people have a similar body type to you. Also though, I think it's like really important to maybe even like limit consumption of social media, because so much of it is doctored, even if someone does have the same body shape as you. So it's nice to be exposed to all different types of bodies, and specifically bodies like yours. But at the same time, know that those photos and images and videos are like carefully selected to be the most perfect that person has to show to social media, and that's what you're comparing yourself to. And I think there's something like, there's a huge percentage of those videos that have been altered in some way and edited in some way, and we're comparing our real life person to edited fake things that are impossible to attain. So it's another big piece that is like taking up a huge portion of our energy and time, and it's an illusion, and that's really sad, and that's like such wasted energy. So that's something that I think is another little hack, another little piece, and something else to be really mindful of. I spoke about it before. Another thing is to dress for your body. So I was speaking into it more of like making, wearing lingerie that feels good and having lighting that feels good for you, but also finding clothes that fit you, not buying clothes that you can lose weight to fit into, not buying clothes that maybe is made great for one body type but not for yours. Like finding clothes that really accentuates your beauty. I have seen every different body type in lingerie by now, and it is so beautiful to see bodies adorned, and to truly, that veil I was talking about earlier of the conditioning of what we think a body should look like because of what we're bombarded with constantly. Dissolving that illusion is incredible, and that's something that I experienced. There's a little anecdotal point here where I went to I've been to a nudist camp for like 6 weeks, and I've also been to like a sexuality training that was also naked for all up. It was over 2 weeks, but all up we were naked for probably about a week. And it was just incredible to see that veil dissolve and see bodies just to start vibrating as masses of energy in every single texture, shape, and form, and none of it meant anything. And, silver hair didn't mean that person was 40 years older, therefore potentially not a sexual mate. It just meant, wow, they have like glistening silver hair. That is so special. And what I'm sort of trying to say is, when we start dissolving that veil of what a body should look like it can only be adorned in lingerie or naked if it looks a certain way. No, like it is beautiful, and we can adorn it and meet it where it's at with clothing, with lingerie, with bikinis, and finding things that like accentuate its beauty, and that might mean like getting rid of all of the clothes that we have and finding clothes and lingerie and things that really like work with our body, instead of it trying to fit this cookie cutter that our particular culture deems appropriate. What is seen as sexy here where I am now in China is not the same as in Australia, and it changes, but essentially it's always what you don't have, and that's the great plan for capitalism, the capitalism of like women and vulva havers appearance, and creates repeat customers and this sense of despair. And so that's why I say it's really a revolutionary act to be satisfied and with ourselves, and to appreciate ourselves, and to have at least body image neutrality. I have a body. It does this for me and it does that for me, and that's amazing, and I appreciate these things that it does for me. Something really beautiful that I have been experiencing the last 6 months or so is, I learned recently that exercise isn't what it has been made out to be for losing weight. And there was always this thread there for me that my exercise was good for me because it meant I was going to be fit and I wasn't going to put on weight, when the research shows that's not really the case. And that's a whole other topic. It's not something I specialize in or really care to talk about, but the shift that happened for me around exercise was so profound. I started noticing when I was doing exercise, I was like, oh my God, this is just for me. This is for me. This is because I love myself. This is because I want to be healthy. It's because I want to feel good. And I've always gained the most enjoyment and success of exercise through dance, because I feel so much pleasure from doing it. However, there's no like strength training there with dance, so I've like had to do other things. But now knowing that those other things are for me and not for the capitalization of my body, it's like I love lifting weights now because I'm like, this is making me stronger for when I'm older. It's increasing my happiness. It's like, it's so good for me. And so it's I think that reframe is also a really beautiful thing when it comes to body image neutrality. It's like, oh, I'm not like, I don't want to look a certain way from my exercise. I want to feel a certain way, and centering our exercise around pleasure and self-love and self-care feels so freeing. Another really cool tool actually is to do a graded mirror exposure practice, where we're essentially trying to rewire the way we respond to ourselves, reprogram our response to ourselves when we see ourselves in the mirror. So versus looking into the mirror, ready to judge, ready to look at and critique what isn't good, we are going to have a different way that we perceive ourselves in the mirror. And generally we start with like 2 minutes, and then we can build up upon that up to 30 minutes if whatever feels good. Looking into the mirror and observing our response to ourselves looking into the mirror. So noticing if our breathing changes, noticing if we start to feel uncomfortable, noticing where the sensations of uncomfortability arise in our body. We're essentially orienting ourselves to our own perception of ourselves. And while we do this process, we want to try and really use a neutral tone and neutral adjectives to explain how we're feeling in that moment. So for example, okay, I'm noticing that I'm feeling a little tight in my shoulders, and we're being mindful, neutral, we're not saying like bad or good, and we're just noticing the sensation and naming it. I'm noticing that I have brown hair, a little bit lighter in some parts than others. I'm noticing the angles of my face. I'm noticing the shape of my eyes. I'm noticing the color of my skin. I'm noticing my white shirt. I'm noticing I just took a deep breath in. I'm noticing that I'm feeling actually quite calm. 1 to 10, I feel like 10 out of 10 calm. And then what we would do is we would bring the gaze from the head to the toes. So it's good to have like a full length mirror, and start bringing the noticing, I'm noticing my shoulders. One is a little slightly higher than the other. I just notice my chest rise and fall with my breath. I'm noticing the outline of my body and that my head is tilted to the side. Oh, it's actually quite tight. See, that's like some information. I need to go and rub my neck. So instead of looking at myself to see how appropriate I look for nobody who nobody cares, but for society that tells me I should look a certain way, I'm noticing how I'm feeling in my body and what I need. And that's essentially what we're trying to do, where we're changing the way that we respond to how we look. And we're not just looking for the flaws and labeling flaws and then feeling absolutely shit about ourselves. So then we want to go through functionality. So we want to reframe our body. We're going to want to continue that change in how so I've noticed there's tightness and that I need to massage this shoulder. I'm also going to notice my functionality of like, oh yeah, I noticed my hand was actually able to reach my shoulder just then and massage it. Oh, that's just so wonderful that my hand can do that. That's so great that where I'm feeling tension, I can actually reach. So that functionality appreciation, I know I've already talked about it, but it's definitely the reason why it's so important. It is like one of the most key factors in our body image satisfaction, our body satisfaction, which leads to body image satisfaction. And then we can just do a little reflection of how was that experience. Rate your rate 1 to 10, how anxious you felt, how calm you felt. Notice any shifts in your sensations in your body, or in your perspective or your thoughts. Usually what happens is that people tend to feel at least like 30% less distressed from the beginning towards the end within, I think it's like four or five sessions. So the first session might feel uncomfortable. The second session might feel uncomfortable. The third might feel a little bit less uncomfortable. The fourth might feel like, oh, okay, like I get this. And this relationship starts to build with our self-image that is getting healthier and healthier. But if we don't put in the time and the effort, then, you know, it's just going to keep perpetuating. And it is something we have to sort of keep on top of, because we're fighting against it daily. Another really awesome tool actually is to have some kind of affirmation that you have daily, that you focus on, that you feel, finding something that is going to create new neural pathways of thoughts. And the way that we do that is repetition. It's the stronger, the more we repeat something, the more energy and attention we give to it, the stronger that neural pathway will be. And it feels like wild to think that we have that kind of power over ourselves, but we really do. We have something called neuroplasticity, where we're able to create new neural pathways just through our attention, intention, and dedication and habits alone. Again, I really encourage you to use an affirmation that works for you. Like I was sort of saying with the response to negative talk, a response that works for you, an affirmation that works for you. And that might mean saying, I am willing to, at the beginning. And you might notice you drop the willing to, and then you start feeling a certain way. And just having that set you up for success, even like right from the beginning of the day. You know, if you choose clothes that feel good on your body, comfortable, that complement your body, that fit you properly, and you're saying something about your body image in using neutral language, like, I'm really, really grateful that I'm able to get out of bed today. I'm really grateful that I'm not feeling pain today, or I'm feeling less pain today, or I'm able to still move with pain today, or I'm really grateful that I was able to get myself to work today, that my body took me for a walk today, that I've been just breathing, you know, just these neutral things that are just some kind form of appreciation. And then also having compassion for when something does kick in, when there is some kind of negative talk. I really have compassion for myself for how much that affected me. I really understand that makes sense considering the culture that I've been brought up in, the messaging I'm getting. I really have compassion for myself for being impacted by that. So also not feeling shame for not being perfect, of being body image neutral, because research shows that when we have a kinder inner dialogue, when we self-soothe, even if it's through havening and self-touch and really having compassion for ourselves, this is going to create a better self-image and better self-satisfaction and sexual satisfaction, because we're not going to be in that shame piece that we've already talked about, how shame impacts us, and therefore, you know, we feel like we've let ourselves down, and therefore our satisfaction levels go down. So self-compassion is going to be your best friend, to be a way to stop self-critiquing. If we're self-critiquing about self-critiquing, it's just going to feed that loop that we sort of talked about before. So I really encourage you. And if you are assigned female at birth, or if you're assigned male at birth, actually, and you're in the sexual minorities group, these people have been seen to see like a greater impact on their sexual satisfaction through self-image, a negative self-image and sexual self-image. However, and therefore, you know, these practices might feel and land differently for different people. However, I think it can really be beneficial for all genders to to explore body image neutrality and to also support their partners in it by exploring it with themselves and supporting their partner in their neutrality journey. And it can be fun, you know, it can be a fun new way to explore intimacy with one another, explore appreciation, explore connection with one another. I'm gonna leave it there for now. I have the little workbook for you to have a look over and refer back to, and then I also have some books that I recommend to check out and have a read of it to continue your journey. I really hope that it doesn't end here, and that you that this becomes a foundational tool for you if you feel like you need it in your journey. And before we finish, I'd love to do a little experiment exercise together. I'd love for you to close down your eyes, just placing your hands on your body in a place that feels nice and comfy for you. I want you to do a little body scan and just notice the sensations on your scalp, on the back of your neck, on your chest, perhaps within your torso, your hips, your legs, your hands, your feet, noticing tingling or maybe sweatiness, dryness, a dull ache, space, tension, just noticing all those sensations. And just noticing if there's any pleasure in your body, and if so, if you can expand that pleasure, or if not, if you can bring yourself some pleasure in some way. Maybe releasing the jaw, rolling the neck. Perhaps a nice deep breath. Perhaps bringing some touch into your skin, noticing your skin react maybe with goosebumps or your nipples harden. Maybe snaking the spine, maybe grabbing your breasts or your pussy, your genitals. Just bring yourself pleasure in whatever way feels good right now. No goal. The only goal to feel pleasure. Maybe touching your scalp, massaging your face, massaging your neck. Touching up your sides gently. Using the breath to move that energy around your body. And then whenever you're ready, coming back into stillness. And I want you to note how much it did not matter how you looked just then. In this space where the invitation was just to feel pleasure, how that was the only thing that mattered, where you're the only place that your attention went to. How enjoyable it was to just be in that space of pleasure, and how you have the capacity to do that. And how much more we can feel when we're not worrying about how we look, but rather how we feel pleasure. And if that wasn't there for you today, just bringing this practice through to another moment in time, potentially, that is more accessible for you. Regardless, I want to do a little moment of appreciation of your body for allowing you to experiment, to explore, for whatever parts of your body allowed you to do that, allowed you to feel whatever it felt, for allowing you to just feel life through your body, perhaps bringing your hand to a place on your body that you're grateful for that moment of experimentation, exploration, sensation, connection, embodiment. In your own time, opening your eyes, noticing your body in space, using your peripheral vision to notice your body and its orientation to the room around you, where it is in line with the window, the door, the roof, the ceiling. Using your sense of proprioception to orient yourself in space. And just feeling how safe you are in this space. You have no threats. There's no attack on you or your body, your mind. That you're in this home of yours from birth until your last breath, and that this is your duty to care for your body, just like you would care for an incredibly valuable item you've purchased or inherited. That this body of yours you're going to honor and respect and care for in the same way. Thank you all for joining and sending you so much love and peace for your body neutrality journey. Ciao.